Well, first of all, let me point out that the quality basic education formula that's been in place since 1985 has never been fully funded. Now, what I have done in my 4 budgets is to appropriate a greater percentage of the general state revenue for K through 12 education than any governor since Carl Sanders was governor back in the early 60s. That is in 50 years. And this year, the largest single appropriation as our economy was rebounding was in this year's budget, some $535 million additional dollars. My colleague here, Senator Carter, saw fit to vote against that. Now, I have also indicated that I will put in place individuals who will come together and study our funding as well as our delivery mechanisms. It is time we revisited QBE and make it more appropriately allocated to the needs of today's education system. We've already brought on board one of the best local school superintendents. He is working in the Office of Planning and Budget under my office, and that is his primary function.
Mr.
We
Carter?
will continue that.
Governor Deal has to look back until the 1960s to justify his education policy. We need to fund our education system for this century, not last century. And what you have seen in our state is the worst underfunding and the worst contraction of public education in the history of our state. Teachers are suffering and students are suffering, and our state's economy, the very foundation of it, which is built on the education system, is crumbling. That's how we end up with the kind of skills gaps that we have now. There are 9,000 fewer teachers today than there were when the governor took over. 2/3 of our school districts have had to cut instructional days. We are not doing the job at the state level that we need to be. And not only that, but when the governor's budgets have passed, because of his cuts, 91 school districts have raised your property taxes. Under his government, we're getting less educating and more taxes, and nobody wants that. I have a plan to change the way we do the education budget. It would create a separate budget with political accountability for the politicians in Atlanta.
You're right. Mr. Deal, you have 30 seconds to rebut.
Mine?
Yes, you have 30 seconds
Well,
to rebut.
first of all, you know, if you really do support public education, you should have voted for the largest increase in K through 12 funding in 7 years, this year's budget, which you voted against. The statistics that you cite are just totally inaccurate. I'm not reaching back to the 60s. I'm saying that as a proportion of state revenue, we have had the 4 highest years of a percentage since any governor some 50 years ago. And you say you support education, but your votes don't support that. You are in a distinct minority in voting against this budget. Every Democrat in the House voted for it. You are one of only 5 in the Senate. 2/3 of your own Democrat colleagues in the Senate voted for this budget.
All right, Mr. Carter, a rebuttal. This is the last rebuttal before we move on to Andrew Hunt to answer the question.
Governor Deal, you know and I know that my record in the Senate is clear on public education funding. You have underfunded it this year by $750 million. I could not vote for that. The budgeting process is utterly broken, and I'm the only candidate in this race who has a plan to fix it. And the bottom line is this. You can throw statistics out over and over again, but walk into your local schools at home. Walk into the schools that have 26 kids in their kindergarten class. Ask a teacher. No one in this state believes that we're properly funding education. I don't even think Governor Deal believes that.